Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday, June the 11th. We are 2 days into the 3-day mandatory minicamp for the Tennessee Titans. And today, the story was not as much Cam Ward as it was the way that the defense responded to Cam Ward and how these things have gone back and forth over the course of the last, couple of weeks into months now, but really ramping up the competition as we get ready for the 6-week layoff and then coming in hot to training camp. It was a great day for the Titans defense. It was a less great day for Cam, but those are to be expected, and we're here to work through the ins and outs of those for you. We got a little rising and falling for you at the end of the show. You're going to hear from Denard Wilson specifically. You'll hear from Brian Callahan as well and Jeffrey Simmons, and how all of these things have started to take shape in the last couple of days and ultimately resulting in a better day for the defense than the offense, but still good progress and good work being gotten in by both sides of the ball. We appreciate you guys showing up. It's always good to see you. It is even better to see you when you share this broadcast around. Not that I'm biased, but I do play favorites, and I always do appreciate. I will show favoritism. Full disclosure, I will show favoritism to those of you who do share this broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, wherever you are spending your wonderful evening with us as we enjoy the Indiana Pacers and OKC in game 3 of the NBA Finals. Good to see this. Good to see just the general the basketball coming back to Indiana is what I'm trying to say poorly, because I do think that the Pacers have a chance, but I'm fascinated to see how that ends up playing out. Looking forward to watching that after prime time, and looking forward to talking to you guys. Share the show, retweet it on Twitter, Facebook Live, share now to public, YouTube and Twitch. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend to do the same, text a link to them if you are so inclined, and we'll go ahead and get it started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday night. I'm your host, Buck Rising. Hello, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the wonderful people, the fantastic people at TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMathFitness.com is there to take care of you and help you reach your fitness goals. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, where currently employee pricing for everyone is on offer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. The South's most trusted Ford dealer. So, Cam Ward on Tuesday was excellent. He was 20 of 21. The lone incompletion was an interception, and the interception was made by Cody Barton, who was on the radio show last week, who I think many of you enjoyed hearing from. And all of the different things that you saw about Cam Ward's first day was, wow, look at the way that he responded. Look at the ability that he brings to the table. Look how when he makes a mistake, he's immediately able to bounce back and bark back at Jeff Simmons, who's gotten the pressure on him, but he's not going to take that. So he's going to get back there and sling it. Wednesday was a different story. Cam struggled significantly more. The defense showed him a lot of different looks. They had a third down session today, and they put, not just him, but all the quarterbacks to an extent in a blender. But it was most noticeable because obviously the most amount of people are paying attention to Cam Ward. So he was 5 of 6 in 7-on-7, and then he was about 50% as a passer in the 3-team period. So if you're adding those two things together, I think Jim Wyatt had him at 13 of 22 on the day with that interception. Now, the best thing that Cam did today was a 50-yard bomb to Calvin Ridley. Caught the ball in stride, kept it moving. Ward did well to lead him, to allow him to get those yards after the catch. I can't remember the name of number 35, the defensive back that he did Calvin Ridley, but it was good to see him respond even when he wasn't having the best or most crisp day. Cam Ward able to get back there, sling it, and keep the defense on its heels, even though they were giving him a significantly more difficult time in day 2 than they did on day 1. And so that brings us to our first question, our Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comment section, if you would like to interact here tonight as you look at Cam Ward and as you look at what the defense brings to the table, what is the biggest, and in fact, I think, Robert, I'm pretty sure the way that we have it phrased is, what is the biggest question that you have about the Titans defense heading into 2025? I think that's how we have the question phrased. Is that correct, Robert? Are you paying attention to me? What are you eating right now? Is that a chicken stick? I'm confused, but we will we will give you the context to that question. What is it?
I wasn't listening to what you were talking about.
What are you eating?
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Okay. What's my first question?
Your first question is, what's the most important part of the Titans defense in 2029?
That doesn't sound right, but I'm pretty sure we can still co-opt it into 2025. So what's the most important part of the Titans defense in 2025? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Perhaps he just wrote down his fives look a bit like a nine, so it's an easy confusion to make. But the point is, what is the most important part of the Titans defense heading into 2025? Let me know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section, and we'll talk about it together. It's your Two Rivers Ford Take. As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service, and right now, employee pricing for everyone. That is what we are curious to see, or that is what you will be curious to see when you go out and visit them at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. All right, give me your answers. What is the most important part of the Titans defense? Your Two Rivers Ford Take here tonight heading into 2025. Richie says Sweat making a leap is very important. And I would agree. T'Vondre Sweat is somebody who had a really nice rookie year. I wouldn't say that he was great. I would say that he was good. He's clearly got the talent and the ability to be above average. But the question with T'Vondre Sweat is, okay, will he reach his full potential? Because he does have potential. He does have the possibility to be a truly special player if he continues to build on this positive momentum that he's had coming out of his rookie year. Lincoln Hawk with a really good one. Finishing off sacks, they had double-digit sacks that they basically missed last year. And I'm not saying that they would have been like the league's best pass rush if they were just able to finish on even half of those. I can't remember what the figure was. I think it was 20 or 22 or something like that, which is crazy. Even if you add, 10 or 11 more sacks onto that, if you give them half of those numbers or half of that unfinished sack total, you're talking about them as a significantly better pass rush unit. They're trying to get back there. They are getting back there in a lot of those situations, but the quarterback is able to shake them off or elude the pressure, evade the pressure, and still get the ball off, or at least throw an incompletion, which is better than a sack in those situations. That's a really good one from Lincoln. Jeffrey Mullen says, I want to know about Cedric Gray. He hasn't done, here's what I'll say. Okay, I'll preface it by saying this. We obviously don't have access to the meeting rooms. So Cedric Gray could be an all-star in the classroom. And it's not like you're going to make a play. You're going to be able to make a play as an off-ball linebacker in mini camp without pads on too often that we notice, right? We don't know necessarily their assignments. We understand who's around the ball when the ball is completed, or if somebody's there to break up the pass or bat the ball down. Sweat and Jeff and Desmond Evans had a couple of batted passes today. Cedric Gray did have a fumble recovery today at practice. It's the first play I think I've seen him make since we've started doing these practices. Now, again, I fully preface that by saying, I don't know how many plays he's supposed to be able to make when they're not in pads and you can't go full contact. And the offensive coaching staffs want to make sure that you're keeping the offensive guys off the ground, right? You're not tackling, you're not full tilt through the whistle, all these different things, but you're trying to make sure that you're sound in your assignments and your recognition based on what they're telling you. And so Cedric Gray did make a play today. Cam and Chimere Dike had a botched exchange on a reverse handoff that they were trying to execute. Ball ended up on the ground. Cedric Gray was able to recover it. So that was a good play, obviously, by Cedric Gray. But I don't know. I think he's firmly behind James Williams. I would almost give Anthony Orji the edge there as well, just because he's a veteran who's played a lot of football. And while he may not have the athletic upside of Cedric Gray, we'll see. I don't make any final determinations in the linebacker competition when they don't have pads on at this point. But it is something that you want to continue to see him pop up on those plays when there's opportunities to be made. And that's how you start to stack days, right? So like I said, I don't know how Cedric Gray's been in the classroom. We don't have access to that on the field. It felt like today was the first time I've really, it's the first time I've really noticed him, understanding that that's from an untrained eye. So as you talk about the most important part of the Titans defense right now, it's for sure the front seven, because the secondary is probably going to be their weakest position group. We can talk about that here in just a second. But Jeff and Sweat bringing to the table what they are supposed to be able to bring to the table. And of course, Jeff Ross sporting that new trimmed down, leaned out physique will go a long way. Draymond Jones, Denard Wilson glowed about him today and the versatility that he brings to the front. I had Arden Key. We taped an interview for the radio show tomorrow. I think you guys will enjoy that. Arden has been putting in a different kind of work to build up muscle mass this year to help him be more available on all three downs, or more effective on all three downs. And they've obviously added Femi Oladejo, who we'll see how big a role Femi ends up playing for this defense in his first year. But they do need him to play right away. This is Denard Wilson talking about his front seven, though, and specifically Jeff and Sweat earlier this morning.
I think, he's mastering, his craft of what to do, his primary, secondary move. He has a better feel for what works well for him. So I think that as long as he keeps pressing himself and getting better and better at one or two moves, he'll get in better shape this offseason. That's one of the things we talked about, dedicating himself to transforming his body, becoming, lighter on his feet. Because when you watch him, he can do everything, from the standpoint of, being a big man, how big he is, he can do everything. But just getting in better shape, fine-tuning his craft, working on the moves that work well for him, and then ultimately he uses his power. So if he gets a one-on-one, he can power rush anybody there is, and collapsing the pocket will help the defense.
Speaking of lighter on his feet, Jeff coming back in the shape that he did, how beneficial is that going to be for him and for you guys in the way that you deploy?
Oh, it's going to be beneficial all the way around. First of all, I'm jealous, right? Because when I look at him, I'm like, damn, he looks great right now. So he's inspired me to go get in better shape this offseason. So I might do a little bit of training. But I think that, Jeff is coming back and he's trying to be the best version of himself. He's in great shape right now, and his attitude is unbelievable. We have the mindset around here right now, and especially on defense, and every rep, everything we do, refuse to lose. And he has that mindset. He refuses to lose, and there's no excuse. And that's for all of us as a defense. And so I like where he's at. I like the energy that he brings when he's around here. I like the attention to detail, how demanding he is with the other players. So I think that Jeff's going to take another step. He's going to be the best version of himself, and, we'll line up, and people are going to have to deal with him. Jeff talked a lot about.
And that's no small thing to deal with Jeffrey Simmons, and he does raise the level of competition out there, right? He's just he's an incredibly competitive player. And, Denard saying, and people understand it, and I think it's understandable, right? Jeff has paid a lot of money, so there are higher expectations. There are more criticism of the top paid players on any football team, regardless of what position they play. So the criticism of Jeff in the last couple of years from a lot of you has been, and from me, as far as his availability has gone and living up to the contract and his level of effectiveness versus, I personally, he is entitled to make his own decisions when it comes to voluntary stuff. I'm not the only one who holds this opinion. I don't think it's a particularly unpopular opinion, but I do think it's a fair one. I don't think it's a great look for him to not be participating in the voluntary stuff, even if he comes back and he's in perfect shape and all those different things. He can produce and make us all forget about Jeff not being here for the team leadership and camaraderie building exercises that they've implemented this offseason that they find critically important. So maybe it'll end up being much ado about nothing. But any slight edge that I think you can give yourself is important at this particular point in time. And so with Jeff's edge is always there. Jeff brings a different energy to practice. Jeff and the shit talking, I think, is an incredibly important part of this, because you want to see Cam Ward tested as much as humanly possible. And Jeff is somebody who is going to test you on a variety of different fronts. So it's good to see him out there now. You wish he would have been here earlier. I'm sure they would too, even though they are going to continue to tell you it's voluntary. He doesn't have to be here. we're not worried about him. There's plenty of feeling in the building that, yeah, we would have loved to have him here, even though we understand that he 100% doesn't have to be here at this time. So the front seven to me is the most important part because the secondary I think is going to be bad. I am somebody who is very suspicious of L'Jarius Sneed's circumstance. Maybe the legal situation will fade away into the background. Maybe it will be much ado about nothing, like, not to the extent of Jeff and not coming to mandate or voluntary stuff, right? Because obviously, don't put yourself in those situations in the first place. But I mean, he wasn't good when he was out there in the first place. So I'm just going to assume that L'Jarius Sneed is not Kansas City L'Jarius Sneed, that he's Tennessee Titans L'Jarius Sneed, and that's an appreciably worse version. He's not practicing right now. He is present, but he is not practicing, and that's fine. He has his own management plan. He has a degenerative knee condition. He's coming off that injury from last year. They want to make sure that they're protecting his availability, but also if he's making himself unavailable due to things that are not just on the field but off the field, I think that they are going to be bad as a secondary. I think that there's a lot of different things that they're going to have to make up for with Amani Hooker. I think Jarvis Brownlee in year 2 is an interesting case study. I think Roger McCreary is probably not going to be here next year. There's a couple of different reasons for that, but even if McCreary has a career year, I would expect him to be the type of player that they let walk in 2020 after the 2025 season. I know there's many, many months ahead of that, but there's so many different unknowns about their secondary right now. Amani Hooker is a staple and a quality piece, and I do think Roger McCreary is still a good to slightly above average player. But like I said, you can't bank on Roger long term beyond this year. You have so many questions in your secondary, which is nuts given the amount of first and second round picks that they've spent on it, not including like the Marcus Harrises of the world that they've added in this year's, was he a 6th round pick, a 7th round, a 6th round pick, I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, out of Cal, the rookie corner out of Cal. They've churned the bottom of the roster with waiver claims. They've gone out and trimmed the fat as far as Chidobe Awuzie. They can't get out from under the Snead contract right now, but I know internally they're not feeling very comfortable about L'Jarius Sneed's situation. Like I said, maybe it ends up not being a big deal by the time we get to September, but it's not September. It's June the 11th, and they're nervous about whether or not their $17.5 million a year cornerback is going to be available to them for either health reasons or legal reasons at this point. It's concerning. So with all the different places that you look at, Jeff and the front are critically important. Because I don't know how good or how available their secondary is going to be in 2025. And that's something that Jeff talked about specific to working out on his own and now coming in and giving some juice to the room. This was Jeff Simmons yesterday.
Feel great. Great to be back out here on the field with the guys, getting to work with the guys. It's not always an easy decision, making that decision not to be here with your teammates, especially with a lot of new guys. First pick of the draft, not being here, but I made that decision. It was a personal decision. Today was a good day. I was glad to be back. Like I said, that was my decision. It was a personal decision, and that's pretty much what it was. And like I said, it felt great to be back out here today.
What led into that decision to stay away?
Like I said, it was a personal decision, and like I said, today I was back out here full of energy. It was great to be back out here with the guys.
Personal football decision?
It's a person from football, off the field, everything. Like I said, I made that decision because of me.
Jeff, what did you change in your routine? You look like you slimmed down a little, whether that be food or weight training.
So that's Jeff Simmons speaking yesterday at practice. And like I said, he's entitled to make that personal decision, of course. And it could be much ado about nothing. But they need him to be the best he's ever been, Jeff Simmons. They are as bad as they have ever been. Jeff is a critically important piece to their success. They need Jeff Simmons in 2025 to be the best version of Jeff Simmons that he has ever been. So we'll see how he goes about that. I know that he's taking the conditioning and the training and the core work that he's been doing specific to Pilates and Legree very seriously. That has there are many, many good benefits of that kind of training, and I think it helps also keep him available because he's been dealing with that ankle injury since 2022, and if he's lighter on his feet, that'll obviously help him deal with the ankle situation or help continue to improve the ankle situation. Because I know even as recently as last year, it's still something that he was having to be cognizant of at this point in time. I think D says, how much of the Titans invested in Jair Alexander? None, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't heard anything from them about Jair Alexander. I would not expect them to be in on Jair Alexander. Now, obviously, Snead's uncertainty makes that a fair question for people to ask, but I don't think that's a path that they're. I know that it's not a path they are legitimately exploring right now. Could it change in a couple of months should something happen to Snead and Alexander's still out there? Maybe, but I get zero sense that Jair Alexander is really on their radar in 2025, or at least on June the 11th. Like I said, all of these things subject to change as new information becomes available. But to this point, no, there's not been there. I mean, they do their homework, right? They do their due diligence. They are aware that Alexander is available, but I don't think there's any active pursuit of him at this point in time. All right. So as we continue to talk about the things that the Titans have, let's talk about the things that the Titans don't have. What's the weakest position group on the Titans roster in 2025? Let me know, and we'll discuss at length together. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch before my laptop dies, because I noticed I didn't charge it before we got on here, and my Pacers are already down by 4, but that's fine. We're keeping an eye on all of these things to make sure we get the primetime show in. What is the weakest position group on the roster? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the primetime program is made possible by TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free. Look forward to my TrueMav Fridays, my TrueMav Fitness Fridays each and every week for personal training. You don't have to go for personal training if that's not your vibe, but you can. You can also go for group fitness classes. Either way, your first workout is free at TrueMavFitness.com when you tell them A to Z Sports sent you. So as you look at the Titans roster, what's the weakest position group on the roster? For Richie and Caleb, it's edge. For B French, it's cornerback and linebacker are probably pretty close. They have options at linebacker. I don't know if any of them are good besides Cody Barton. And even Cody Barton is coming off a career year later in his career. So I don't know if that's not like Denver Barton is not the best version of Cody Barton that we'll see. We'll see if he's able to carry that over into 2025 here in Tennessee. Edge, they're not good, but I'm more bullish on what they've got up front and how that will help the edge group than what they have on the back end. So I'm going to go with the answer right now. I'm going to say that the weakest position group on the roster is the cornerback room. You could argue the secondary in general, given that Kevin Winston's not yet available, but I do like their safeties and Xavier Woods, Kevin Winston when he does become available, and Amani Hooker. So I'm going to say the cornerback room right now.
Like I say, every day right now for them is new. So like I say, today is a new install. So they're getting it for the first time. The real measure of those guys is going to be when we come back, the guys that put in the time to get their bodies in the best shape, that study in the offseason. And when we come back and compete for training camp, that's where you will see where they will really take off. Guys are going to rise up and guys are going to fall. So to me, it's let them get the basic fundamentals. Let them understand what we're trying to get accomplished, understand where they're supposed to be in the framework of the defense. And then when we come back for training camp and the live bullets are going, that's where you'll really see who rises and who falls.
Are you already seeing some promise from some of these guys to potentially earn a role?
I like a lot of these guys out here. I think obviously we did a great job of flipping over the roster. I talked about it the other day. You know, organizations are built from the bottom up. And, you know, because when the top guys aren't performing or they're hurt, we need guys with depth. So I like where we're at right now. You know, Femi, obviously, a second-round pick. He's done an outstanding job. Talked about him last time I was in front of you guys, how smart he is, the attention to detail. You know, to me, he's a tone setter, and that's what I expect from him, to be a tone setter, being able to collapse the pocket and being able to convert versus rushes. Marcus has done an excellent job right now. He's gotten multiple reps, and the list goes on and on. You know, I can't wait to see Kevin Winston out there. Y'all seen him, man. He's a big man that plays safety. I can't wait to see him perform and see if he maximizes his talents like he did at Penn State.
That's Denard Wilson talking about the young guys in general. He brings up Marcus Harris there, specifically the corner, talking about what the corner depth can bring to the table at this point in time. Let's wrap things up with a little bit of rising and falling. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week? I only want to do this segment, honestly, so I can play you this Brian Callahan clip because it's the best thing to come out of the media availabilities today, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports? You guys give me your response, and I will tell you, or I'll let Brian Callahan tell you why. It's going to be hard to temper your guy. You guys know I don't do overwhelming optimism, and I'm sure as hell not doing it again with the Titans after last season. But it is going to be hard to downplay or to tamp down any level of overwhelming excitement about Cam Ward when more and more clips are coming out like this one.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not used to calling plays to a quarterback who's usually still talking when I'm talking to him. And that's great. And so I asked him after practice, and I said, just help me out here. I said, do you need me to wait till you finish? And he goes, no, I'm listening. So he's hearing what I'm telling him, and it was a pretty remarkable to see all the things going on and how much he's talking, but like his brain is still like with me, I guess is the best way to put it. Like when I'm calling him play, he's doing all he's doing, but he's listening to everything I'm telling him, and he enters right into the huddle and he calls a play and doesn't script the play call. And I thought that was actually kind of remarkable. I don't know, I couldn't do that. So that's just kind of who he is. That's his personality. And again, if it was something that I felt like was detrimental to his ability to manage the offense and call it in a huddle and all that, I'd probably have a couple things to say to him. But he didn't miss a beat when it came to calling the play and being on top of it and then executing when it came time to execute. So it was a new experience for me, but it was fun.
That's Brian Callahan talking about how you call plays for a quarterback who's still shit talking while you're trying to deliver the play call in his ear, which is really funny. That's going to do it for us today. All right, new install is available whenever Robert decides that he wants to upload it. He has it in his purview now, so it may be up tomorrow morning. I would assume it would be up tomorrow morning at this point in time because I forgot to tell Robert that I did upload that earlier this afternoon. We will also have, I don't know, did you watch the Arden Key interview? I screwed up the microphone situation, Robert. Are we going to be able to play Arden tomorrow? Have you looked at that yet?
I just want one time, one of these, I about said the F word, one of these interviews to be what, just, hey, all you got to do is put that bitch in the computer and that thing go run. The first one, Buck says shit, have to bleep it out. This one, the sumbitch was upside down. I had the 90. I don't know what the hell that was. It was only on that computer, but we're going to say that was your fault. And now the damn microphone.
Well, listen, if you want to make your life easier, then you can continue to make my life easier. And so if you want to send another one of your peons or cronies out there to do the mic situation so I don't have to, that's fine. If not, you're probably going to have to continue to deal with these on a daily basis.
Not a bad idea. If I had access to the YouTube channel at home, I'd throw that bitch up right now, but I ain't got it.
That's okay. So we'll have the new install up and available.
I can put the podcast up. How about that? Everybody want the install podcast? I'll put the podcast up.
Okay. And it's good stuff. Greg got the run of the building. Robert, I think you would. I mean, he's sitting in quarterback, like in the quarterback room and stuff like that.
Who has the nicest bathroom at the Titans facility? Does Brian Callahan have his own bathroom attached to his office? Has Amy ever shit in that building before? How large was it? All things I need to know from Cosell.
So find out on tomorrow's episode of The Install. Amy Adams Strunk's bathroom habits. This is the kind of journalism that we're doing. All right, very good. That's going to do it for us tonight. Right in time for my laptop to stay alive to get this thing done. We're rooting for the Pacers tonight. Even if you're not, I don't care. It's Sirs in 5. It was always Sirs in 5, even though they're down 15-6 right now, and I don't feel very good about that. But radio show tomorrow. We will either play for you Cosell. It was 20 really good, 15, 20 minutes, really good minutes of stuff that he's learning while they've been treating him like an honorary coach. He's been over there hanging out with Brian Callahan on the sidelines, getting all kinds of good information. You are only going to get this level of detail from Cosell. And I thought today's podcast, or I guess tomorrow morning's podcast, will be excellent. And then, provided that I didn't screw up the Arden Key thing too badly, you will probably hear from Lucas will probably mail it in and just play the Arden Key interview, even if you can't hear it, just because you can see him on YouTube. Yeah, that's exactly how that's going to go down. That's fine. The more I can do to make you boys' lives easier at this point, even though I'm doing the radio show really one day out of 5 days this week. But what are we paying these other people for? It's okay. You people have been asking for less of me for years. We finally give it to you, and now it's a problem. Anyway, have a great rest of your evening. I will talk to you tomorrow morning from Titans mandatory minicamp, the final day of Titans mandatory minicamp. One more day, and then we're done for the next 6 weeks, which is crazy. See you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. In some form or fashion, be it on the Zone or on here.
Go home! Go home! Go home!